Alright, hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Rico Quilly Combat channel. Today, we are back once again. It's that time of the month to talk boxing. My favorite combat sport, your favorite combat sport, it's all our favorites. It's our favorite sport, period, actually. I love this, I can't get enough of this, man. Yes, we are here to recap the month of February, talk about all the biggest fights, go through them in kind of an order of just one big card, basically. So, I'm excited to do that, man. I know you're just dying to get into it, bro. I know I am too. But before we get into that, I feel kind of obligated to just talk a little bit about where I get some of my information from, and that is through, of course, the Ring magazine. If you are following the sport of boxing and not in any way knowing in contact with the Ring magazine, God bless you, because I don't know how you fucking do it, man. These guys are the number one source of information in the entire world of boxing, make it very easy to comprehend. So shout out to them. Again, I got a lot of my information here because, I can't watch every card. I can't know what cards are the biggest ones to talk about. I miss some things, so they are a very good source of information there. This isn't a sponsor, but could you imagine? Dude, let me run the Wade Concept Show, Ring. Please, let me run it. I definitely won't get tired of it after 3 weeks. Definitely not. Alright, enough glazing. Let's talk boxing. That's probably how a lot of these contract negotiations start. Let's get into this, man. We're going to start things off with talking about Owen Cooper versus Konstantin Ursu for the vacant British and Commonwealth welterweight championships. It was a lively start for Ursu, who bounced around the ring before laying to Cooper from range with his left hand. Cooper just couldn't find rhythm and seemed a little bit off his pace as Ursu planted home straight shots. Ursu was making a habit of staying in the pocket too long and was met by some wild hooks from Cooper at the end of exchanges, but Ursu started to bring his right hand into it, smashing one across Cooper's face midway through the 6th round. Despite the heavy artillery coming Cooper's way, he just would not be deterred and continued to march forward, landing the occasional wild hook again and again. Ursu seemed to tire a little bit in the 8th, and Cooper started to find some success. And while Ursu was holding his feet, allowing Cooper to fight up close, late in the session, Ursu seemed frustrated at himself for allowing Cooper to find a footing in the contest and started to tee off on his foe. Ursu really started to turn the screw in the 9th and hurt Cooper with a right hand upstairs. Cooper knew he needed a finish heading into the 11th to have any chance of snatching the British title away from Ursu's grasp. He pressed hard but just couldn't tie his foe down, and Ursu would go on to win by unanimous decision to win the British and Commonwealth welterweight championships. I like Konstantin Ursu. He kind of popped on my radar last year, and he's been a pretty exciting guy to follow, so I'm excited to see where he goes from here. Hopefully he can really start making it big in the boxing world in general. And of course, Owen Cooper's just a really cool guy, so I don't know how well he's going to do in his next fight, but hopefully he does do pretty well. But yeah, this was a good fight. This was a pretty entertaining one. I like this one. Up next, we're back talking about Zuffa boxing. First, we'll talk about Efe Ajagba versus Charles Martin from Zuffa Boxing 3. Martin boxed well throughout the first 2 rounds on the back foot and behind his southpaw jab, but it only takes one in the heavyweight division, and Ajagba proved it in round 3, flooring Martin with a right hand. Martin rose to his feet, but was bullied around the ring by Ajagba for the remainder of round 3. A pair of crushing rights put Martin back on the canvas early in round 4. Martin was warned by the referee that he had to show him something, however he was unable to do so. Ajagba continued to drive Martin back with right hands and was opening up on him when the ref compassionately stopped the fight seconds later. You like that little compassionately threw in there? Yeah, right? Efe Ajagba's pretty cool, man. I'm not gonna lie, Charles Martin is very old and probably should retire, but Efe Ajagba is kind of him. I hate to say it, but he's kind of him. And I said in the last month's recap how, Callum Walsh isn't really a guy you want to build a division around in terms of making something exciting. Efe Ajagba is someone to watch out for in the heavyweight division. So he's kind of the perfect guy to really build a heavyweight division if you're going to take a UFC approach to boxing, which, Zuffa apparently is. So, yeah, good performance from him. I do like Efe Ajagba. He's pretty interesting. Charles Martin, damn, dude. Damn, bro. That's tough. Moving on. Lee Wood versus Josh Warrington. Lee Wood took on Josh Warrington. This is a rematch from their 2023 fight. One of my favorite fights. I don't know if of all time, but it's a fantastic fight, dude. It was awesome. Wood, unfortunately, this time around it wouldn't be as close. Wood dominated the 12-round super featherweight fight from start to finish at Nottingham Arena. Wood decided to box smartly and pick his shots whilst Warrington tried to impose himself, but he just couldn't sustain the attacks, and that once made him such an effective fighter. Wood took control immediately. Boxing as a southpaw, he poked away with his right hand and targeted the body with the left. Not every shot was delivered with bad intentions, but a short right hand in the second round and left uppercut in the third definitely found the mark. Warrington didn't panic and kept his shape. A left uppercut hurt him in the fourth, but he recovered well between rounds and found a pair of right hands in the fifth as Wood began to bruise around the eye. He kept Warrington at bay through a dominant sixth and came up close to landing a hard, well-timed right hook after a well-timed left uppercut. Warrington had gone flat. He had spent long periods at arm's length. He found a dim spark in the ninth when he began to spit out his old accurate jab, but Wood would step off to the side or out of range before he could capitalize on it. The fight petered out. Wood had no need to change his tone, and Warrington was unable to do so. Thus, Wood would get the win by unanimous decision. Good fight for Lee Wood. You know, both guys are pretty close to retirement, or, you know, there's been a lot of talks of that from both of them, so this was a good performance from them, a good one to just run back. Maybe Lee Wood can make one last run at a championship at the super featherweight level or higher, but yeah, this was a good one, man. It helps that Lee Wood was kind of the fan favorite, so coming in here and dominating like he did kept it pretty entertaining. So good fight from them, man. Good stuff. Up next, Ryan Garcia. That's right, we're talking about Ryan Garcia. He's only fourth, bro. He only turned out fourth, but that's just how it turns out sometimes. Ryan Garcia delivered a dominant performance, beating Mario Barrios by unanimous decision to win the WBC World Welterweight title, becoming a world champion for the first time in his career in the main event of the Ring High Stakes on DAZN pay-per-view at T-Mobile Arena. The speed difference was evident from the opening bell. Not even 30 seconds into the fight, Garcia fired an overhand right which put Barrios on the canvas and drew a raucous reaction from the crowd. Again, you like the wording, bro? Good stuff. Garcia's right hand was the story of the fight, consistently finding its mark in direct contrast with the attention drawn towards his patented left hook. The 27-year-old's jab and bodywork also kept him firmly in control. A pair of right hands rocked Barrios again in the fifth round, although he managed to weather the storm. The California native consistently made Barrios pay for his defensive deficiencies, and when the now former belt holder tried harder to turn the tide, he was caught with blistering counter shots for his troubles. Garcia could be heard complaining about a right hand injury, which we later learned was just a light sprain in his right hand. It's insane he's actually able to continue on through this fight with that still. I couldn't imagine how that was like. In between rounds, he began tiring later on, though Barrios' inability to bank effective work early meant he wasn't able to take advantage. Their contest largely fell into a pattern. Garcia remained on the back foot but landed the more cleaner, more effective shots, while Barrios struggled to sustain any success or mount a second half rally. One of the judges had it a shutout at 120-107, while another scored it 119-108, and the final gave it 118-109. Gave Barrios an extra round, you know, cool. But now, again, Garcia is the new WBC World Welterweight Champion. With the title in Garcia's grasp, there is no shortage of appetizing matchups to make at this fucking weight class. A bout against Stevenson or Haney has the makings of a summer blockbuster. Even Conor Benn, the WBC's top-ranked welterweight contender, marks a significant bout. Either way, after a tumultuous 3-year spell, Garcia is firmly back in the driver's seat on the heels of a career-best performance. Good for Ryan Garcia, man. You know, I feel like... oh, he's been through a lot, dude. He's been through a lot. Ever since that Tank Davis loss, he's a troubled man. So it's good to see him achieve this level of success, truly, right? And, you know, after that Tank Davis loss, there was just so many questions about him, you know? So, good for him. Good for him. Sit in the shorts. That sucks for Mario Barrios, dude. Like, be given the title because it was vacated. Go to 2 draws. Defending the belt, one against fucking 48-year-old Manny Pacquiao, and then lose to Ryan Garcia. That's tough, man. That's tough. Hopefully he bounces back, dude, because yeah, man, ouch. that sucks. Up next, from Zuffa Boxing 2 was Jose Valenzuela versus Diego Torres. Pretty clean fight here. Jose Valenzuela would beat Diego Torres 99-91 in all 3 of the judges' scorecards here. After a nip and tuck start to the fight where both fighters had their moments, Torres cut Valenzuela just outside of his right eyelid with a left hook early in the 4th round, which led to one of the best exchanges of the fight. Torres put his foot on the gas while Valenzuela alternated moving and trading punches. The referee briefly stopped the action to allow the ringside doctor to look at the cut before allowing the action to resume. That served as a turning point in the fight, as the cut gave the left-handed Valenzuela a sense of urgency. That motivated him to show in his championship acumen. You like that word? I'm not gonna. I stole that word from fucking The Ring, dude. I learned that word reading their article about this. I was like, damn, bro, I'm gonna take that one. The former super lightweight world champion started finding a home for his left hand as he kept the hard-charging Torres from sustaining any offense. Valenzuela thoroughly outboxed Torres in the second half to pull away and get back in the win column. So yeah, I mean, Valenzuela, pretty cool guy at this level of competition too. He holds all the makings of someone you can just build a fucking division out of. So, makes sense. Good fight. This, in terms of Zuffa boxing in general, still, like, I've kind of figured it out a little bit, the way they're going with things, but it's interesting. It's just such a kind of a shake-up to, like, again, what normal boxing is like. So it's kind of weird in that sense. Like, they don't really, they kind of try to I'm still kind of waiting on them to really, like, you know, hone in on, like, the promises they've delivered for what the company's supposed to be about. But, you know, we're gonna get there with Jayo Pataya. We'll see how things go further down the line, and yeah, man, we'll just see with this company, dude, because, like, it's drawn me in with his promises. I'm just kind of waiting to see if they can really fulfill them, you know what I mean? So we'll wait and see, dude. We'll wait. Up next, Gary Antoine Russell and Andy Hiraoka met in the co-main event of the Ring High Stakes over the WBA Super Lightweight Championship at T-Mobile Arena on its own pay-per-view. It was largely a tale of two halves this fight. Russell's activity and ability to stay on the front foot gave him control early in the fight. His quick combinations, especially to the body, gave him the lead. Hiraoka turned the tables as the fight neared the second half, as he became the aggressor. The nearly 6-foot southpaw started ripping to the body and found most of his success there. As the challenger landed numerous big body shots, the defending champion went on the move with his back to the ropes. Hiraoka's adjustments allowed him to seize control of the fight entering the final 3 rounds. Misfortune struck for Hiraoka in the 10th round, however, as a pair of low blows on right uppercuts well below the belt caused the referee to stop the action and deduct a point, which, that sucks. Hiraoka went back on the front foot in the 11th round as his work appeared to set the stage for a dramatic 12th. Both fighters had their moments and swung until the final bell to cap a fight that felt far closer than the final scorecards. Russell swept on the first 5 rounds on 2 of the judges' scorecards. Hiraoka took the next 2 on theirs and won 3 consecutively in one of the judges' eyes. Hiraoka took 3 of the final 4 across the board, but it wasn't enough. Russell wins by unanimous decision. With this win, Russell successfully defended his title for the first time and handed Hiraoka his first loss as a pro. You know, this guy's, again, kind of an underrated name, bro. Like from where he was placed in the card for how good he actually is, he's kind of like a sleeper pick at this in the super lightweight division, bro. Like he's pretty fucking cool actually. So I'm excited to see how both these guys do going forward, who the next challenger would be for Russell, and how Hiraoka can bounce back from this loss, his first loss as a pro. So, good stuff here. Holy, I'm excited to talk about this next one. Nick Ball, the undefeated Nick Ball, took on Brandon Figueroa to defend his WBA World Featherweight Championship. I don't know if you remember one of my first boxing videos was talking about Nick Ball and how he was like a potential name for Inoue if he chose to move up to featherweight. But right now he's defending his title against a very good fighter in Brandon Figueroa. Ball got off to an electric start here. Boxing as a southpaw, Figueroa offered little to stop Ball from walking directly into range. He was momentarily shaken by a short right hand and had his head knocked back by a series of uppercuts the first time they found themselves working in a clinch. At range, Figueroa's punches were too slow and wide for Ball, who was able to dart in and out of quick, hurtful punches, but also leapt in with lead left hooks over Figueroa's southpaw jab. Despite holding a 6-inch height advantage over the 5'3" Ball, Figueroa decided to get up close and personal in the third and started to enjoy far more success as he had found his rhythm. Ball found it harder to time his attacks with the tall, aggressive Figueroa bearing down on him. Figueroa began to ramp up the pressure and dig in the hooks to Ball's body. Whenever Figueroa attack slowed, the champion was still able to find clean counters as he edged backwards, but was having to think about defense more than he has since his June 2024 title-winning effort against Raymond Ford. Noah's bloodied Ball was more active in the 7th and had his best round for some time. He managed to get off his shots before Figueroa, but his attacks were coming in 1s and 2s rather than his usual bursts. Figueroa began rolling forward again in the 8th. He targeted the body more, and one thumping right hand echoed around ringside and began closing the distance before Ball could let his own hands go. He continued that momentum in the 9th. Figueroa bullied Ball to the ropes time and time again. There was no major scoring shots, but he gave the impression that he was controlling the action. The pace slowed slightly in the 10th and gave the extra space between the two. Suited Ball, who found his timing again and was able to get his punches off. Nothing seemed to trouble Figueroa, but Ball's punches were more eye-catching, scoring shots. In the end, it was Figueroa who landed the most telling punch of the entire contest. A close fight seemed to be up for grabs when Figueroa landed a left hook less than 10 seconds into the final round. The shot deposited Ball face down on the canvas. Although he somehow got to his feet by the count of 8, Figueroa followed up and a flurry of punches sent Ball through the ropes. After a short count, referee Steve Gray stopped the fight 32 seconds into their final frame. The sudden, shocking left that floored Ball sucked the air out of the arena. Figueroa didn't let his moment pass and produced a stunning, dramatic finish to take the decision out of the judges' hands. Figueroa, the mandatory challenger for Ball's belt, was ahead on 2 scorecards entering the last round of the main event. 2 judges had Figueroa in front 106 to 103, although the other judge had Ball ahead 107 to 102. The dramatic win earned 2-weight world champion Figueroa a WBA featherweight title belt and made the 29-year-old Texan a 2-time title holder at 126 pounds. Wow! This was probably, again, biggest upset of the month, of the year so far for sure, you know. Nick Ball was looking so good up to this point, and to see him lose like that was insane. It seems like his his stature is just so good for, Figueroa's stature is just so good for, controlling the division and controlling the pace of fights. So, I'm very curious to see who can actually, beat Figueroa at this division, dude. It would take, some serious skill, it seems, because Nick Ball is really good, man. He's really, really good. So, to see him lose like that is, wow. I don't know what's next for him. He can't really move up. He's just so short and stocky. I don't know if he wants to move down, maybe, but yeah, dude, that was incredible fight. One of the best so far of the entire card, so good stuff. Up next, our co-main event, Christian Medina defends his WBO Bantamweight Championship against Adrian Curiel. As advertised, the pair traded leather with crowd-pleasing exchanges in the early goings. Medina unloading uppercuts while Curiel countered with body shots. Faster and constantly on the move, the defending world champion didn't need much time to find his range while Curiel looked to close the distance and finish their furious flurries better. He breached Medina's defense with a nicely placed overhand right in the 4th, though it was absorbed well. While guilty of abandoning his defensive instincts too much for comfort, the Guadalajara native fired back with dizzying combinations, punching, negating that work and targeting the body too. As soon as Medina established a rhythm, he muddied his work by missing the targets when headhunting, allowing Curiel to bank some of the middle rounds before a frantic finish. In the end, Medina got the job done in a welcome homecoming, failing to deter former IBF junior flyweight belt holder Curiel. The lopsided scorecards didn't tell the full story either. 120 to 108, 116 to 112, and 115 to 113 in Medina's favorite against an undersized but determined contender making his second appearance in the division. Among those interested in a 2026 meeting could be newly minted WBC belt holder Takuma Inoue and 4-weight champion Kazuto Ioka. Yeah, Ioka, yeah. Medina is again, when it comes to okay, bantamweight's a small division, right? But when it comes to guys like that, Medina is really fucking good, dude. I don't know what else to tell you. This was a pretty given fight, unfortunately, for Curiel, but still, great performance from Medina. It wasn't the most impressive, I would say, but still, man, he looked really good in this fight. So it's tough to see who can take the belt from him too. Finally, moving on to our main event, Emanuel Navarrete versus Eduardo Nunes. a super featherweight unification bout between WBO champion Emanuel Navarrete and IBF champion Eduardo Nunes. Vaquero Navarrete came into this clash ranked the ring's #2 contender at 130 pounds, and Sugar Nunes was rated #4, but it was evident from the beginning that Navarrete was in a class of his own here. Nunes came out with a curious game plan, fighting off his back foot and looking to counterpunch, but Navarrete nimbly navigated around the retreating to comfortably bank his first 4 rounds. Navarrete buzzed Nunes at the end of the 3rd round with his patented wild left uppercut and immediately followed with a left hook. The hard shots did damage and softened Nunes. By the 4th, Nunes' right eye was cut. After showing Navarrete too much respect, Nunes flipped the switch in the 5th and stormed off of his stool to swing violently, much like he's known for. Navarrete was unbothered, however, and the wily veteran weathered the storm by catching the suddenly greedy Nunes as needed. I don't know why I said it like that. Nunes broke Navarrete's guard in the 6th and was hell-bent on banging the body. Dude, me as fuck. Nunes pushed Navarrete against the ropes, but Navarrete leveraged his 4-inch reach advantage to attack over the top. Again, me as fuck. While the resilient Nunes was working the body, he landed 72 shots in the area overall. Navarrete focused on the face of a bloodied Nunes, which continued to pay dividends in rounds 7 and 8. Navarrete really started separating himself in the 9th as he rocked Nunes with a rocket right hand and a whipping left hand to shut his rival's right eye. The ringside physician inspected Nunes' eye before the 10th round but allowed the fight to continue. Nunes made a cross gesture across his chest with his right glove, seemingly looking for an act from God to get back into the fight. That was fucking crazy to see. Dude, when you see like your opponent's fucking doing like, yo, please, man. Holy, that's crazy. But within 40 seconds, Navarrete busted Nunes' damaged eye, and blood started pouring profusely. Dude, this guy's the GOAT, man. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, just reading this again, bro. Oh my god, this guy's awesome. Navarrete continued to dominate Nunes with one-way traffic once the punches became even more difficult to see. 1 second into the 11th round, referee Benjamin Rodriguez asked for the doctor to take another look, and this time the damage was too much for Nunes to continue, and the fight was waved off. The official time of the technical knockout came 1 second into the 11th round. Navarrete outlanded Nunes 236 to 140. 80 of the punches came in the 9th and 10th rounds before the fight was stopped. On paper, Navarrete Nunes had all the makings to ignite another all-Mexican rivalry, but considering the one-sided nature of the fight, a rematch isn't necessary, and Navarrete can move on to bigger and better things, like WBC champion Shaquille Foster, to further unify the titles in the division. Foster is the ring's #1 rated contender, and was also ringside Saturday to see as an interested observer. A fight between Navarrete and Foster would also be for the vacant ring title. So there you go. And that's it. That was that was boxing in the month of February. A pretty interesting little group of things going on here. I like what I saw. You know, it wasn't as exciting. There weren't as many big fights as there was in like January, but you know, we're just progressing through here, man. We had Ryan Garcia winning. We had Nick Ball losing. And we had a performance from one of the all-time greats of the sport, Emanuel Navarrete. And so not a bad show, not a bad month. Pretty cool one here, man. Not much to say here, dude. Like, good stuff. Good stuff. Again, shout out the ring. A lot of my information came from there. Their articles are very good. Dude, that's how I found out. What was that word, bro? Acumen. That's going in the personal vocabulary, if you ask me. But yeah, man, that was the sport of boxing. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like. Comment below which boxer is your favorite. Who is your favorite boxer? Be sure to tell me. Yeah, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave it a like, share, hype up the video, get me going in the algorithm. If you want to see more boxing content, I do cover it pretty regularly on my shorts section, so subscribe to the channel if you want to get my shorts in your feed. And then also, I'll be back next month to talk about everything in March. We have a pretty exciting March lineup, bro. First, Jael Pataya going for the Zuffa Cruiserweight Championship. Oh, boy. And shout out Moses Atama. That's a real heavyweight prospect right there that everyone should be excited for. He was my first person I covered, bro. But we'll talk about that in the month of March. That's going to do it for me for now, though. I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.